team fights after that.
I'm also just happy to see him bring it out. Ming has almost played a different champion like every game of the split so far, but still, I mean, again, like we saw in game 1, right? Ming still to me always feels like that guy who will default back to some like engage heavy champions that might have disadvantageous laning phases. But now with the Blitzcrank having the opportunity there, a ton of pick potential on RNG side, but IG's 5v5 is terrifying.
Yeah, it really is. And I think, again, it's all about spacing, but that makes it even more terrifying. So trying to find ways to weave themselves into these fights, getting YSKM in a confident position to be a force on this Cassante is oh so important. But you also got to remember, this is the last game that we're going to see of either of these teams for the next 2 weeks. Chinese New Year is on the horizon. The Spring Gala is in full force, and IG and RNG are going the distance. We wouldn't have it any other way here to go through our week number 3, and we got to see who's going to come away. Is it IG to put themselves at the top of the table at 4-1, or is it RNG to even things out and get that circle going for LPL? Let's hear those Gyos ring one last time for our first series of the night.
Oh.
The early ward there does a lot of work.
Okay, so giving away their position. RNG doing an interesting wraparound way. Maybe just going to try and get some vision, but does he end up getting
really
caught
careful
from this? Okay, luckily he doesn't.
You go so deep that the enemy team would never expect you to be there. It's like you started on their side of the map. That's what it is.
What if for whatever reason, you know, one of the bot laners would have recalled and just decided to walk
by
away?
himself here. Like, Tianjin does not win that level 1.
I mean, and Wei's going to be able to pick a timing where if he was on one of these camps, right, he gets to come in and potentially just steal it right from under his nose, and he'll be lower HP.
Oh my god. He's got the mind games going. He waited the whole time, and now he can start his red side.
I mean, one thing we could say so far about both games, right, is that Wei had the superior early game. Both times getting in Tianjin's way. Now, though, observers bring us back to the lane that really matters. Oh,
they were waiting the whole time. Oh my god, Wink is half health now. And Wei has gone for a level 2. God, this is so good from RNG.
They have no idea.
They have literally no idea. Ignite comes down. I think IG is starting to get a handle on the situation here. They're going to go for the guaranteed first blood, and they're going to give it over to Wei. A beautiful rocket grab gets on back and burns his flash.
Ming with 2 grabs in the first 2 minutes of the game. I love no hesitation about just throwing it blindly into the brush, being like, hey, we know they're not here. We know they're not leashing for their jungler because of where our jungler is. And they just start that off. So now, once again, RNG with control in the early game, right? We see pressure in mid, pressure in top, and pressure in bot.
And these kind of spicy, fight early, see if you can feel out your opponent bot lanes is back to the LPL that I know and love, right? We did have a little while there when teams were trying to figure out the meta where things were extremely slow. I'm sorry you had to go through that lyric. I've been blessed with extremely chaotic series every time. I think we're starting to see a lot more confidence. That we talked like earlier in the day where we were talking about the level 1s, but just in general, a lot more confidence, and we're seeing that now with LWX and Ming, which is a nice sight to behold, I feel like.
Yeah, and also to kind of bring it back, because you know, you kind of mentioning like teams being willing to go for like spicier picks, fighting more, all of this. I also feel like it's an interesting split where you can look at all the drafts in LPL right now, and there's no like, there isn't necessarily like a, hey, you do this every time. Or if there was, we'd see Maokai every game, and we'd see Cassante picked before we do, you know what I mean? It feels like some teams very much have their own priorities, and that draft so they can be very different from series to series.
That's why I love we have Ming and Wink going against each other. 2 guys who have just been picking all kinds of sort of craziness in bot lane. Both their lists extremely long already at the start of the split. We do see a little hover up from bot side from IG. They have Tianjin down here, so feeling pretty confident. We're actually looking to try to catch Ming out in transition there, but don't find it.
I've got to be more afraid of IG if just Ming throwing out another hook, you know, blindly into a brush where he knows IG are waiting around if he does end up finding it. Nothing going to come from this now, so IG just going to make sure that Tianjin is able to pick up this scuttle. But RNG, I think, completely fine with the state of affairs of the map.
Yeah, I mean, you got the early push down bottom side. You had the early invade by Wei as well. A nice little response here by Tianzhen, who's looking bot side. Was just going to get that back off. I think it's really dicey to try to go for a dive against this combo.
I do kind of want to bring us a bit bigger picture, though, and say, like, if IG do manage to pull this out, ending 4-1, like, by week 3 is crazy. And sure, they haven't, like, found any big wins off of any, like, star-studded favorites just yet. They did end up going down to NIP, who, again, most people have in that top 6 range. But they are quickly setting themselves apart from a lot of the other teams that we have in contention for, you know, the middle of the pack, who are going to be fighting for those slots. So I think this would be huge if IG do manage to pull it out.
And let's be real, NIP had the rookie versus the organization buff, so like you could just count that one out.
Wait, so
it really was.
What about Crying and Wake here?
Fine, don't worry about it. Don't worry, but that's different. All right, won a world championship.
Sure, they're not rookie. I'm sorry, they're just not.
I do expect, though, with the way that the season has started out, it's reminding me a lot of IG Spring last year, right? But the question is sustainability and at least consistency for this roster. And I think that's a lot of the same conversation we've had for RNG. Because, yes, we've seen Wei and Ming reunited again, but it's been about getting Tong Yuan and LWX involved, Breathe having some strength from the top side, and that's not always been the case this year.
No, again, we really haven't been seeing it. We've already had it in the past 2 games, but a lot of it really has fallen down to kind of LWX and Ming early on. Ming, I feel like, has looked the better of the two and has had some, like, great plays already. But, you know, he took a split off, for anyone who doesn't remember. Didn't start at the beginning of spring last year. Came in halfway through the split, and then by summer was already gone once more.
Yeah. It's kind of a weird timeline.
It really is.
But hey, he's here with LWX, also on a new team. Once a nice long-standing FPX member. Was the last standing bastion of the FPX World Championship on the roster. But that time has flown the coop for the Phoenixes. We do have IG, though, trying to get some warding around the grubbies up here. But it's actually Wei who's on position first.
And this just feels like what always happens, right? It feels like most times, once you get to game 3s, those are like the most tempered games of the series. Unless it's a completely one-sided series, but that ain't happening here. Both these teams feeling very evenly matched. I can understand why, especially for IG, they're a bit more comfortable with taking things at a tempered pace, trying to get this Azir to a point where it can be strong. Oh, that was great.
He was trying to, at least.
Yeah, so close. I thought he had it.
So really, no big focus towards the grubs at all. I mean, they've been up 2 minutes. Usually we see teams immediately try to position around there. With the redeploy, Wei is immediately heading bot side of the map.
I think for RNG, it makes a bit more sense. You have the split screen trying to lean around it, looking for those opportunities to utilize it. Tianjin, it seems like for the same reason, maybe feeling like he should be around here, but all of his camps are going to be up on top side soon, so it makes sense for him to make his way up there and try and find something. Both of his laners getting pushed in right now, though.
Wei is going to look for a return gank here on bottom side. He is terrifying with Ming right there behind him. Oh, no.
Wei has ult.
Good job. Good job. Good job, On. Yeah, go Ghost. Let's go. It's not Danny Phantom, though, I promise. It's just On for IG.
Oh, even Tong Yuan's coming to wrap around.
Oh. Nice little hop, skip, and a jump. Yeah, Tong Yuan being here is also just terrifying. Oh, Wake gets just full-on engaged on. Gets the Fates call out. That'll be a double engage if he wants to go back in. Tianjin has made his rounds down here, and IG will survive, at least for the time being.
So IG end up losing an Ignite that was given. Ming obviously used Flash, and a wave completely lost in mid that Crying pushed in. So a lot going in favor of IG with the amount of time that RNG wasted trying to make that play possible.
Yo, the Boots of Swiftness tech for Ming on the Blitzcrank. No more slowdowns. Being able to speed around, too, is actually pretty huge.
And now we can see making his way towards the mid lane for now with Tong Yuan. You know, I'd assume that IG would know that it isn't him with the Varus down there just yet. Maybe they could think so because Grub's still being on the board. But like you said, neither team has paid any mind to that just yet.
All. We're getting to the point where we're not going to get a second spawn.
You're right. It's just not even both teams just being too caught up in what's happening here. But
they watch too many episodes of the Telegrubbies.
You know, I think it's fine. We don't need grubs coming into this series. All we need is some more patented Blitzcrank hooks landed. Or at least,
they didn't land that.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe we can also go farm our topside camps. It's been a little bit like things might look a little different. Yeah, you don't know.
The Chicky Nuggies are a little stale at this point. They've been under the heat lamp for a little too long. Although I feel like there is a level of like heat lamp Chicky Nuggies that like is good because they get crispier. I don't know what you think. Is it good to let your Chicky Nuggies cook?
You know,
Chicky Nuggies being Raptors.
Probably not. Probably not. I'm not a big fan of anything cooking for too long, which is weird because I'm also, you know what, never mind. Now, this is not the rabbit hole we go down. I've been criticized on my palate enough in the League of Legends universe.
Rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. I still remember when I compared like a Michelin star restaurant I went to with Dash and other casters to Popeyes. You know what? Popeyes is great. Popeyes is great. Don't disrespect no Popeyes.
Just gonna leave that one there, and you know, we're just gonna walk away from that one.
Dragon's coming up, Mizzell. We
have an out. We have an easy out, easily done. Summoner Swift, thank you. As now we get IG positioning around here. They are gonna try to get some movement of the vision at least, but Wei is gonna be getting the scuttle crab first.
We're gonna try and bring it back, but Cryan has Empress Divide.
Wei, you're gonna have to use this Vault Breaker out. This should be repositioning from RNG because they're just trying to look for a pick.
Right, and this is what the comp needs to hope for. Ming has an angle, but not going to commit anything to it. RNG just really only playing for the possibility of a hook landing. It seems like they aren't all that confident in the fight breaking out otherwise. And we hit it, right? Just team fighting directly into IG's comp is going to be really hard. Like, Wink will just be able to shut you down. You have On who could bring Wink to safety. You have this tanky Rel coming through.
Oh, he caught Wei, knowing that he didn't have a way out. He will end up burning his flash there to get out. Cryan was looking for the angle.
Cryan and Wink both used flash there. So this actually looks like it's going to give RNG. Yeah, it's going to give RNG all the opportunity to get the dragon after the play doesn't work out and only a flash ult from Wei being lost.
That's actually pretty big. And again, that dragon going over pretty nice as the dragon stacking is there. We are officially to the point where we aren't going to get that second grub spawn. And I'll say, LPL keeps giving me new moments. I don't think I've seen a single game this split, at least that I've casted, that a single grub hasn't been taken. So you learn something new every day. And we're going to move forward in the game now to see if that focus around the Rift Herald does become a priority.
Okay, another plate going over to Ming and LWX. I like that Ming's still constantly just threatening that hook even right under turret itself. But both teams still just being so tempered, waiting for first items to be finished. We do have Nashers onto Cryan, so I'm going to start being in a place where we can put out a little bit more damage, but definitely feels like we're waiting on the ones specifically for RNG side when we are once again going to the lethality bars, when we have the Nico and those first items really being what cements the burst to be able to come through. LWX might have his now. Ghostblade is in pocket.
Nice.
Yeah, a bit more punch.
Is on the way. A little bit more punch at least. You got the Napster too for sustained damage on the other side. Cryan. Oh, he's gonna start him! The grubbies are not left alone. You only get 3 of them, but no, it's better than nothing.
The important part is that they're getting some love. That's all that we really care for. All creatures on the Rift deserve to be loved and respected. Remember that.
Who's your favorite creature? I think mine's the duck. Sir McQuackingston.
I miss, I don't know if they count as creatures, but the pillars that you would take in, Dominion. Those are my favorite League of Legends creatures.
Talking about Summoner's Rift.
This is just me trying to push for Dominion to be brought back. Let me do my thing.
Mine's between the deer in the bottom right corner of the map sometimes, or the duck. There's also a cute frog, and I think it was just right there on the screen for a second. But
I think,
you know,
I actually got my answer. My favorite creature on Summoner's Rift is VLG anytime that they're playing.
Because they're just monsters.
They're terrifying. They're terrifying.
Yeah, they are looking like the big bag dogs of the LPL. It feels like it had been a long time coming, too, or at least a long build-up to it. Other people representing and BLG always being knocked down. But,
I'm going to be tentative on it, just because it's like, okay, we had the JDG roster last year. That didn't work out. I'm not going to get my hopes up twice. Oh, find some hope.
He got him. That's the combo. He got the bailout, though. And that's actually pretty big. Bought a lot of time there. But Wei will end up getting traded right back. It'll be the 1-for-1. Both junglers going down.
Still, I mean, Wing throwing out his ult at the end there does present some opportunities if Ming was able to find another hook, but looks like he won't be able to do so in the end. Profane Hydra now picked up for Breathe up against the Ice Form Gauntlet for YSKM. So Breathe going to be in a point where he can really start to impact these team fights. But I don't even know if we'll get to the point where we're really seeing these 5v5s, right? RNG have been very much staying away from those and really just relying on the Blitzcrank.
I guess the question is, how many times can IG get caught like that until they start paying attention to the at least distance that they're giving themselves away from Ming? Because this is literally what RNG are going to be trying to do over.
And even just some of these angles, right? Because that, I mean, even before the terrain changes, even still now, like, it's just a very common angle to look for those hooks over.
Yeah.
So I feel like especially ones like those, like, you just can't be getting caught by as IG still. I mean, they're going to get to a point where it's going to be really hard to take down their front line. Sante and Rel will get huge. I like that RNG are trying to take advantage of this spike where they are a little bit stronger.
And RNG going to go ahead and take the Rift Herald here so they can actually try to push this a little bit back their way, at least in the 1,000 gold lead that they do have. But the question is, where do you try? Like, right now, it looks like it's got to be mid lane. LWX is here. The kill pressure from IG's bottom lane now moving to mid lane is actually pretty big, though.
Yeah, they're going to have to respect it a lot. On has not been afraid to hop forward. He hops forward menacingly, folks. Trust me.
Menacing. How do you hop menacingly?
You just look at On. He just
you
does
do it like Callista, where it's like kind of crouched over, like kind of
weird
looking.
Yeah, exactly. It just kind of spooks you out a little bit and scares you off. So what RNG need to do is they need to overcome that fear. They need to reach deep inside their hearts. And guess what? You probably do have to overload mid regardless. I feel like looking for a Herald play on sides won't really mean too much for RNG. With the fact that all towers are open, like, the opportunity is there, give you deep push, let you maybe like rotate onto a dragon first. But with this dragon already here and IG getting prio mid, it looks like that they are not going to leave RNG any time to make some options.
Yeah, both YSK and Breathe have TPs. We have the opportunity for a 5-on-5, but the positioning is actually going to be here for RNG, who are letting go of the priority in mid lane to try to get this. And Ming is not in a position to get a big pick early here and goes wide with the rocket grab. So now Wei will go over the wall of death, as I've coined it, and IG will be in prime position for the dragon.
Oh, we keep seeing RNG find Prio in a different way. You can see on the minimap right now of Cryan making his way down there, actually pivoting into a potential flank angle.
The Rift Herald used as a distraction perfectly, actually, but IG not going to take the bait. The dragon did get started up at Tang Yuan. He's got that flank, and Wink, he waits to pull the trigger just a little too long, but Tianchen is eliminated, as all you needed was the lockdown, and Tianchen gets grabbed.
Great setup by Tang Yuan for Ming to be able to pull that off. So now it's going to be Soul Point going over to RNG. It has been a very slow and steady game from both sides, but at least now that pressure is going to be there as we once again have another one of these souls resolved.
Yeah,
every single time.
The thing is, it's been a slow game, but it's been very calculated from RNG. And I think leading off the fact is Wei and Ming really out on the map, and Ming particularly having such a presence on this Blitzcrank. The timings before the objectives, the timings of these grabs have been so big, and he's really having a big impact.
Yeah, he's really not just wasting them, right? He's very much living by the threat of the hook is also a force in of itself, right? If he just wastes that hook and that'll give IG an opportunity to engage, he can't afford that. So we're gonna go back to the replay. See here, Tang Yuan potentially started to make his way down, but then found the wraparound. They didn't know he was here, wasn't spotted on any vision. It's gonna be the tangle barbs and the damage that sets up for Ming to land the hook. And as Tianjin, you just cannot expect that. I guess you could expect that. Once again, a very common flank angle, but still.
Tang Yuan with the big angle. And a big glow up, it feels like, for this RNG roster, where they really needed some stability in mid lane. It feels like they finally found it, especially now that LWX has entered the building. It feels like finally in this series for RNG. He's had a very quiet season so far. We do need to start positioning some of this vision around the Baron pit, though. About 40 seconds for that, but the grab going to be dodged away from.
And you can see there, right, the second that hook went on cooldown, both Tianjin and On kind of turning around for a second. So that's why Ming, not just throwing those out willy-nilly and trying to respect the potential engage that can follow through. But you highlighted it, LWX also pretty big now with that opportunity. These hooks are always like a pixel off from connecting. I'm ready for the fight to break out.
It's so
I
close
sense
every
it.
time. IG don't want it though. They don't want that fight. They want to not get hit by those.
So IG want to invite RNG over for some afternoon tea, maybe play some chess. But RNG been
Knuckle
working.
sandwich.
RNG have been working their way to get into ONE FC or UFC or Bella, whatever fighting promotion you watch. They've been working for it their whole lives. They're feeling like John Jones right now, and they're ready.
They're ready to go. I like it. We'll see if this fight does continue, though, because right now I do want to take a little bit of time to go over the intro of IG and how they win these fights, because we've consistently highlighted RNG are looking for picks, and they find it. They win the fights over and over again. Speaking of, we're going for that here, but you really have to circle back to the positioning conversation we were having for IG earlier.
I feel like a big thing first is going to be the positions of some of their control wards, right? And really leaning into some of these angles within their own jungle. Like the initial one we saw where Ming is kind of hovering around now, having some control wards around there. IG have already done a decent job at getting them on the opposite side of these jungle entrance points. But yeah, I mean, we're not even getting to see fights start, right? It is just a member of IG getting picked off every time in a place where usually you will have a Blitzcrank or a Thresh or, any other type of champion that can look for those plays. So, vision control, step one, IG.
We're also starting to get to the point where the topside impact that we've been keeping an eye on all series long is going to start being an influence here. And look at the flank angles that Breathe can pull off. We haven't had any big TP plays, but they're both on second items, and that influence is going to be there in these next few fights, especially because we have that soul fight on a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, you highlighting all the vision that could potentially set up for like Breathe to come out on a flag or something, but the observers a second ago did just show us that IG do have one sneaky ward around the Baron that would either give them info or even potentially set up for YSCam to come around if RNG tend to overgroup in mid. Doesn't seem like that's going to be the play just yet, because Breathe has been happy pushing that side lane bot, and now Tongyuan pushing top. IG are going to have to respond.
Timer's coming up though, Lyric. As IG know where they need to be at early, and they already have some control ward vision down here. Ming and LWX are going to be the first of RNG to foray this way, but IG trying to make a play here.
Yeah, and I want to highlight Tongyuan actually already sitting on 2 items with the Rocket Belt and the Storm Surge. Cryan not on his yet, but does have the Seekers at least, so could potentially buy enough time for his rotation of spells come up to be able to get out if he does look to start the fight off for IG themselves.
Ooh, YSKM getting a nice little chunking done to him on the way down to this fight. And now we get the setup, because the dragon has spawned.
IG doing a nice job, just playing so aggressively. So RNG can't find it. We've seen RNG every time they've started a fight off has been through Ming.
both of them just standing on the other side of the wall. Ming overextends his hand and goes down. You can't be grabbing Tianjin while he's with the rest of his team, and that just means IG start the dragon here.
And RNG still at least posturing around. They don't have to. They're already on soul point themselves. Breathe.
On, it's just about to go down. He does get that hostile takeover used to save him, and now Breathe just finds himself caught out. Dragon goes over to IG, and they're showing some life here, Lyric.
Now 39 seconds on the Aatrox, dude. They just pivot over towards the Baron. We see Wink making his way up there now, but doesn't look like it. Just wanting to get some vision control set up and taking this turret in mid. So not feeling like they can do it fast enough just yet to really warrant any type of Baron start.
Wei was waiting for an overextension there. It's so funny. I actually didn't know that 2 of the healing plants spawned right next to each other there with that Baron.
You're right.
That's actually hilarious.
Just a ton of sustain able to come out for red side.
Yeah, it's actually kind of crazy. But the conversation does then become like, if these ganks, if these big rocket grabs aren't coming to life for RNG, they do lose out on a lot of their potential.
I do feel like this one was a weird one in general, because you look at where both Wei and Tangyuan are, they're nowhere near. I think especially your Nico, who brings the burst, who can then bring Tango Barbs as well to lock Tianjin in place even longer. Like, that could be something where that would make a difference maker in a situation like that. And then RNG, they've never been afraid, team afraid of like going into these opportunities 4v5 because they know the Dragon's going to be a useful tool and helping like lock IG into position. But it just gives On so much room to kite around that fight with the saving grace from Wink and YSKM. Just wasn't worth it in the end.
Yeah. We also see Cryan actually just picking up a yard sale here so far. He's looking for the Rabadons. He's got the Seeker's arm guard. He's got just the little brown bags on his feet too. He's just trying to make every little moment count here. And speaking of, YSKM going for a flank around mid lane. Will be spotted out.
Oh,
it doesn't matter because they have the improved blast cone. The all out not going to go through the wall though. He does get that Chains of Corruption out of LWX.
I'm a little bit surprised throwing that one out so fast onto the Blitzcrank. I feel like at that point, if LWX had just gotten past you with the knockup from the Blitzcrank being there, you kind of just hold off, walk away, and hope for a better target next time.
I love Ming and Wei setting up here. Ming had that Hex Flash available, and this is the deadly duo, it feels like, of this third game.
It really does. Like you said, just the amount of threat that they've been able to put on. But IG just seemed completely fine with farming this out. I think now that the Cryan is so close to a death cap that that's probably really the next break point that they're sitting on before they'll be looking for any sort of tussle.
Oh no. He
we've
tried
seen
so
worse.
hard to get the Grobs. He's not going to get it. He's still pretty far off of getting that completed Rabadons as well. So like 500 gold off. So we're going to be needing a little bit of time here. Time that RNG will gladly take to try to clear out some more of this vision around.
And I think that the thing for IG is that they aren't too afraid of a Baron coming out for RNG when you're running Lethality Varus, when you have this Nico and you just aren't going to be dealing enough damage to really pull it away from under IG's nose. IG also doing a nice job of cementing their presence around this top side to keep up this vision. And yeah, I mean, hell, even for IGs, as long as RNG doesn't get on Soul and you keeping the team that maintains that Dragon control, that might be enough. So I wonder if it's in RNG's head at this next Drake to do the whole Baron dance, to be like, aha, you go to Drake, we go to Baron, what's gonna happen? And then we see which team folds first.
That's the scariest thing, and like that's what we highlighted in the draft with the Blitzcrank, is it doesn't matter what has happened all game long. If say you're doing the Baron dance and one person overextends the wrong way to get a rocket grab, all of a sudden you can take Baron, you can take the other objectives, you can take the map. So it's always thinking about that for IG, their lack of range and how they're playing around it.
I do got to say, though, Abyssal Mask and Rabadon just got finished up at the same time on the side for IG. So not only going to be shredding the MR, but now Cryan's really going to be packing a punch. And this is why they feel so confident.
Ooh, Ming going to go for Tianjin again. That just can't be the grab. Oh, Avenger Beams are down. Pop Blossom is in. They got the combo into On, and he's gone. That's Tianjin. Now the focus. YSKM goes on to Breathe. Breathe finds the backline. Oh, my God. That's a world-ending Aatrox right there. The Emperor's Divide is going to separate, and as IG run away, they are lacking 2 members.
There we go. Tangyuan and Breathe shutting the IG bot lane out. Very reminiscent of the strengths that we saw from RNG in Game 1. And now they're going to start making their way over towards the bot half of the map because Dragon's going to be up very soon. And now getting more items under their belt to try and keep this control missile. It's going to be rough for IG.
God, that Profane Hydra combo does so much. Oh! He wasn't even supposed to be there.
No, makes it just in time. The TP flank, but I want to keep your eyes on Tangyuan because he's really the one that finds the play. Reed is able to kind of work off the back of it and then follow it up really nicely. You can see Tianjin trying to lock him down with the flash.
Oh,
Doesn't
we're
matter.
not stopping, baby. We're going right at it. And look who's on the back line again. Breathe. As YSKM's getting handled by Wei. It's a nice combo to Breathe. He gets taken out. And IG feeling a lot more confident now to step into the Dragon Pit. RNG have played their hand.
And we just see every time RNG end up being so disconnected and IG being so on top of feeling back, but this Dragon's still going on.
Look at the flank. He found him. He didn't get the flash, but he got the damage. And now Crying is right here, almost down. And RNG are looking for it. Tong Yuen's going for a flank now, too. And they just keep trading out who's going to go in. The Dragon ends up going over to IG. And RNG not going to make a play on the back end here yet, as Ming wants to chase him down, but can't do it.
Still, IG keep buying more and more time. That's all they've been trying to do. Now going to be able to pivot back up, get a reset out is Tong Yuen. Was hoping someone made a cheeky little mistake from the IG side.
Really heads up play from IG there. I think RNG had some angles, but feeling very hesitant to pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, you know, I'm sure we're gonna get a replay in just a minute, but it feels like we're seeing multiple fights where, you know, Ming will find a hook or an engage will come through, and then everyone just ends up so split. And it's so sad here, not able to connect with it. That could have, I mean, that would have been a kill, right? And that could have changed the fight and led RNG to be able to dissuade a Dragon.
Whoa. Tianzhen going a little ham there. Doesn't want to fight over the scuttle, but actually wants to find the engage. As they're going on LWX, he just can't hit anything. Meanwhile, Ming can't hit anything either. And the rocket grab going to go wide. Tianzhen going to make it out, though, of the chains. And RNG, both teams just firing things left and right. Can't find anything.
Yeah, neither team really feeling that solid now with the fight potentially breaking out right. Crying and On this time don't have those same defensive tools. Even Seekers was used up last time. Still, though, we're putting a lot on LWX's back to actually connect some damage. And I feel like time and time again, we are not seeing these Qs hit onto their targets. In that last one, right, Wink's Guardian Shield even just able to eat that one up outright.
And he just doesn't have the poke through a lot of the tankiness here. And IG, they're actually just going to start the Baron. We're going Flipperino here as the rocket grab goes wide. Wei is on the flank of a Century. They'll end up being spotted out.
Oh, flank now going to come through from Tong Yuen.
Baron is very low, but IG feeling a lot less confident. Wait, what has happened? Bailout comes through, but he's going to die within the Fate's call. He does end up getting it out. Tangent goes wide, and IG, they need to be a lot more careful here as Ming is looking for a big rocket grab. Breathe and Wei. They are on the edges here as now Crying stepping up against his old team, doing some work, but IG are on the wrong side of town. Got to find a way to cross the tracks. Wei goes in. Wei finds Crying, but the re-engage from Tianjin's pretty big to set it up, and On smacks it down. As now Tong Yuen gets soloed out in the end, and it's a big fight from IG, and it's a big fight all the way around. The Baron goes over to Invictus Gaming.
IG just clumping up, grouping together. Once the fight looked lost was enough to make IG just, or RNG just lose their minds. I really don't know what to say about the second half of that fight, but kudos to IG. It led them to a Baron.
What a play. And honestly, Crying coming up MVP in that one. As we'll take a look back at it, it all starts with this DP play on the wing.
Like, it starts off with, once again, another member of IG kind of just walking somewhere they don't need to walk. It gets punished. And then here, RNG are trying to threaten the pincer movement coming from both sides. But no one from RNG is really close enough to follow up on the engage. You've already hit on that IG's frontline does a great job of just absorbing the damage people like Tong Yuen or LWX are able to dish out. YScam singles out Tong Yuen, and the others just get to kite out that buy, which leads RNG to getting ran over. It just feels like we're seeing both teams making different mistakes, but they're making like the same mistake over and over again for their side, right?
One thing I've noticed so heavily in this series, though, is both teams utilizing the strengths of their composition very well, right? You have so much peel tool available for IG, and they're using that to split apart the fights very well. YSKM, that focus on Tong Yuen takes a lot of the sustained damage, or at least that catch potential, out of the furnace of RNG. I think if you continue seeing things like that, it is just going to be IG favor moving forward because they have a lot of the sustained damage in their back seat.
I feel like you see both teams playing out like parts of their composition like incredibly well, and then again just like one or two parts where it's like, hey, we're kind of overlooking this and making this mistake over and over again. Just got to calm down, chill out. But now, I don't know if RNG can really ever kill YSKM or T-Engine. You pointed out a long time ago that like it's not enough for Ming to just hook these guys anymore. If they hook these guys, they are just going to get engaged on, and they're just going to lose. And sadly, we've seen that it feels too hard for members like Tong Yuen or LDBX to just brute force their way past some members on IG. So I think a lot just comes down to IG marking and breaking apart the diving core of RNG, right? The Wei,
Yeah.
Bree, Tangyuan kind of trio.
I love it. We just had so many ships in the night moments between these two junglers looking for the big engages, but it feels like the standard of engage is a lot easier to reach for Tianjin. He just has to throw his body in there and get a big Magnet Storm. We have Dragon up, though. This is still Soul for RNG, but IG are on the cusp of a third in a row.
But Breed's nowhere close. Shuri is TP, but you're not going to be able to contend with this. Are just going to back off for now, and we're just going to be left in a stalemate. Somehow, RNG were up 3 dragons to 0. Now 3 apiece, Mazel. We're going into the late game territory.
We see that actually be a super big trend here in the LPL. I know Nightmare was talking a lot about it at the end of week number 2 as well, was just the fact that we've gotten a lot slower in the LPL in terms of our game time. And even you didn't even realize we had gotten past 40 minutes for last game. So it's just like, it feels so weird to see LPL games going this long. But then we get these chaotic last-minute fights. And the fact that we do have a pretty much a 5-minute timer until there's a guaranteed fight around Dragon.
I got to be honest. Like, part of it could also be that I have found myself casting many days where, you know, a BLG have been playing a whoever, or a top esports have been playing a lower. You know, Marcel, those games still do go by incredibly fast. But it really only feels like those games. I feel like our whole, like, upper middle to lower middle of the pack teams all just feel like they could, like, interchange games with each other left and right. And, yeah, it doesn't feel like there's a big difference. I'm kind of hoping that changes a little bit once we get back from the New Year break. But also, not really knowing the result of any of the series has its own charms.
It doesn't. Yeah, I guess so.
Its own charms.
In its own ways. I do want to check in, though. We got to get some brass tacks out of the way. We got 4 items completed there for On. We got 4 items for LWX. I know we've put a lot of focus on the mid laners, on YSKM and Breathe. These 2 guys are going to be monumental in their positioning and how they approach the next fight.
And I just really want to highlight on specifically now having that GA, because RNG's comp is very, like, cooldown burst reliant, right? Like Nico throwing out 1 rotation spells, Varus doing the same. So it's going to be hard, even if you manage to find a way to take out On, unless Breed is literally just sitting right on top of his corpse, he'll just be able to get up, you know, back away, and probably be able to keep dishing out more damage than RNG's carries could. For their side, we do have a Guardian Angel on Breathe now, but we've just seen over and over again him getting kited by this Kalista Renata.
Gonna be looking forward to that GA for sure. Try to save his life, get some backup from the team, but it does mean that we're starting to get on in builds, and I do like that IG are looking for something in RNG's jungle. Both of them backing next to each other, you know, old teammates, as it were, but TP right back, and IG starting to put up the pressure here. Baron spawning at about 50 seconds.
IG just going to maintain pressure for now. Verdant barrier on Krine, so just trying to make his way to his next pain point. And I love that Tianjin just keeps, like, hovering around walls, maybe just expecting for Ming to check and throw out another grab, but he is not falling for that anymore.
Yeah, I think if you see a big metal horse, no rocket grab. That's an easy combination.
Or if you see nothing at all, don't rocket grab.
Or if you see nothing, okay, good call. Good call. Just need the caveat there. I do think that RNG are going to be in a bit of a weird spot here, though. Unless they try to go for giant flank maneuvers.
They might. Things are coming out. Look at Tangyuan on the minimap. He's going the full distance.
Far. He's spotted out on a ward. Like, IG just immediately pull up.
Yeah, not able to do. I do respect the effort, though. Don't really lose anything for it, and IG are just being such a menace by not letting RNG into their own jungle. We really are looking at Tangyuan for that play, and he's not giving up. He's still staying in the enemy jungle.
Hey, you stay there long enough, you become one with the bush. He will not be spotted out there in the end by the blue trinkets. Double blue trinkets being used by IG. They realize Tangyuan is missing. He's somewhere on the map, and he's being sneaky.
Oh, Breathe has a position as well.
Oh my god, no way. IG have just put themselves in a bear trap, and we're just waiting as the seconds go by for it to close. As you hear the tick-tick, here it comes as IG can't get their foot caught in the trap. Wei is now caught in his own trap a little bit, but they've gotten a triple pincer as a pop blossom. There it goes! That snapped right onto the ankle of IG, but they're fighting right back. They're not letting this one go. Breathe is found crying. Breathe has gotten a big one, but a triple kill has gone on, and all 5 members of RNG fall to their own bait and end up on the post mantle of IG.
And why SKM and Tianjin do so much there? They're distracting all the other members of RNG, and now with these death timers, they're going to be able to start breaking down this base.
The question becomes, are IG the real deal? Maybe they haven't had the hardest competition so far, but they're going to end their first spree in a bang fashion. As the last series before Chinese New Year, IG is looking to put themselves at a 4-1 scoreline, and in wonderful fashion as well. YSKM showing up, On and Weak being stable, and a wonderful 2-1 series from Invictus Gaming.
IG showing up strong. You already pointed out, right, now sitting at 4-1 in the standings to be able to move through the kind of rest of the LPL, which is great because during that time I was actually looking at who they play when they come back from break is BLG. So build up all the confidence you can right now, boys. You're setting yourselves up from the rest of the pack. And I gotta say, Mazel, for me, it's a little bit different than how it was last year. I didn't really buy into the IG hype last year just because you could so clearly see the meta dependence of the team. Not only YSKM, but even at the time, it felt like the IG bot lane really were heavily leaning on, you know, the whole marksman are now support when we were having like the Varus and the Caitlyn and all this stuff. But now it feels like they've built out more dimensions to their game. It still isn't like fully fleshed out where I expect this team to be contending for a trophy just yet. But I definitely feel like we've seen this IG team grow from where they've come from last year.
Yeah, I think that's the coolest thing so far. And while it might feel like a little similarity to their spring split last year where he did start strong,